valuation of gold, silver, and your daily standard commodity, such as cattle or spice, dates back to 550 to 600 BC, where gold was first used as a form of tradable currency. Until today, there are groups of people who prefer gold and silver as a denomination over regular currency. But how does that all relate to sports cards? I got my theories after this. What's up, YouTube? Card Boss here. We talk about everything cards, money, investing. All right, let's go. So the first gold coins were used as currency back in 550 BC, decreed by the king Croesus of Lydia, now known as modern Turkey. Aside from its beauty and rarity, gold was a symbol of wealth and was easily portable versus what its value was measured against. What I mean by that is, for example, a gold coin back then would then trade for, say, 100 cattle. But you couldn't carry around 100 cattle. So a gold coin was easily a function that you could put in your pocket to represent the value of 100 cows. Silver, also used by the Lydians in the same era, was treated as inferior to gold and less desirable, but still held a certain value of, say, 20 cattle. It was still more practical to carry around a silver coin than 20 cows. Fast forward to the year 2021, we have the sports cards equivalent of the modern day currency, the gold, the silver, and the base. Alright, history lesson and jokes aside, I get asked the question about whether the base cards market is dead and should everyone move up the chain and pursue gold, as in most circumstances, gold is a better investment commodity. Let's explore that a little deeper. First, let's ignore the grades and we're discussing merely the scarcity of the underlying card. For 2018 Luca Prizm Gold, it's serial number out of 10, so meaning there are only 10 specimens in existence. Truly a rare piece indeed. When you consider its downstream, the Luca Prizm Silver, the population copies on graded BGS 9, PSA 9s and above is already close to 6,000, with thousands more graded lower and available in raw. For discussion's sake, let's say the number is 10,000. Then we come to the base, where there's currently close to 35,000 copies in BGS 9 and PSA 9 or better. But let's round it up to say 40,000. So when we tabulate all this, we have 40,000 base, 10,000 silver, and 10 gold within this nice upside down pyramid. What this is trying to illustrate is that the value of 40,000 base can equate to the value of 10 copies of gold. In other words, Mr. Gold has 10 copies of Prizm Gold, which is worth the same as Mr. Silver, who has 10,000 copies of Prizm Silver, and Mr. Base, who has 40,000 copies of Base Prizms. So who would you rather be? Unlike the Lydians back in the day, gold and silver were the actual physical currency being used, so it was the denominator. Today, it's the real world money, i.e. the dollar, the euro, etc. So as an investor, you need to consider your end game or your divestment strategy, which we talked about in the previous video. As Mr. Gold, you will need to find buyers for your gold. And given the prices of gold, the population of buyers out there shrinks tremendously as compared to the buyers of base, where you can see this in this upright pyramid. Now, I'm not saying buyers are not out there, they are, but holding on to gold doesn't offer the liquidity as much as the base or the silver to some extent. But you may ask why. Gold is king and everyone wants gold. True, but can a regular person afford it? And if you could, what would be the reason to acquire it? To treasure it? Or to resell it for a higher price? Hence, normally as an investor, I take it very seriously when considering exit strategies for a certain card I want to invest in. Now, Luca Prizm Gold is on the very end of the spectrum of high end, and you probably can count the number of true collectors who would seek this card with two hands. Ironically, it's also serial number 2 out of 10. But the point is, moving up the chain is great, but coming to the summit has its dangers. Let's also not forget about timing. While a lot of old commodities such as precious metal age well over time, players in the NBA, for example, might not. There's championship windows, new spotlight faces in a hobby, and scary things such as injuries. Only a small fraction of players ends up as legends, which will hold their value over their careers and even beyond. For me, it's just accumulation of so many factors that make gold, example, such a high-risk play, despite its desirability factor. On the flip side, having collect mass amounts of base has its pitfalls as well. Similar to the old days, herding hundreds of cattle and having to move them is extremely painful. These days, there is cost of selling, i.e. fees and shipping, storage, and one point people often forget, competition. You might be hoarding that 50 copies of Luca base Prizm PSA 10s, but you probably didn't know that Jack down the road also has 50 copies of Luca Prizm base, and he's listing on eBay this very moment and undercutting your prices by $10 so he can move his Lucas first. But again, given the popularity of Luca, for example, there is often no shortage of new buyers and collectors entering the market, and the Luca Prizm base makes a nice entry point. Hence, liquidity is a non-issue for a typical card like this. That being said, if you are investing in Luca-based Prizms and have been holding hundreds of copies until now, seeing how the prices has bounced around from $700 for the PSA 10s 18 months ago to $2,500 at one point, and now back down to $700 again, I would consider you to be a very patient investor with nerves of steel. And what about silver? Silver has long been associated with the Topps Chrome Refractor parallels, and for some point in the mid-2019, it was considered the go-to card instead of base. Mindset has changed since then to go with numbered or colored parallels instead, and nothing wrong with that. But true collectors often include the silver as a key pillar to their collection, given far out of reach a gold version is for 99% of collectors today. What that means is silver is still considered very desirable, and for its price point, it's very attainable for most collectors to chase up to, which makes it an attractive investment opportunity that a lot of people have either forgotten or just dismissed. The other parallels, blue, the eyes are pink, waves, they're all cool, especially with jersey matching colors. But if you are thinking selling strategies, you would always want to know what the general consensus is looking for and can afford. Base rookies will always be good if you can find ways to compete due to its massive population. But for me, silvers have a certain sweet spot in this market, strictly from an investor standpoint. So in conclusion, I'm not advocating all investors to gravitate towards one direction or the other. We all have our different objectives and operate within a different set of budgets. But if you are like myself, managing a portfolio of modern cards of roughly between $20,000 to $30,000, I would likely have more than half in Prizm Silvers or Optic Hollows, because they just offer the best balance between liquidity and upside. But that's just my take. What do you think? So if you guys like this video and found it very useful, do like and subscribe for more content in the future. I will be putting up similar videos, so do watch out for that. Thanks and have a great day.